Hi everyone, welcome back to SYD Life. We have a very special Father's Day edition today, so let's get straight into it. I am here with two very special people. I'm here with my own dad, Colin Laidlaw, and the amazing Ryan Smith, who's returning on the podcast. Hello.
You've been here before.
I have. It's my second
I'm very
time.
happy to be here. I feel like I've been here because
Yeah,
I've been thrown under the bus a few times.
Dad has been here just in being talked about over and over again by me. Give us a thumbs up just for all the people out there.
Who know?
Yeah, who know? Well, Father's Day, we've just had Father's Day. Father's Day was over the weekend. And we thought it would be nice to get two great dads, if I do say so myself, on to talk about all things being a dad, things they wish they knew about being a dad. And before we get into it, I thought there's only one way to start this episode, and that would be to tell your favourite dad jokes, obviously. So get ready to cringe, get ready to laugh, get ready to turn off the podcast when it gets really uncomfortable. Let's Dad kick us off.
It's about to get uncomfortable.
Okay, what do you call a French man wearing sandals?
What?
Philippe Philop. That's awesome.
Very good.
Right.
Yes, I've got one. My wife accused me of being immature. I told her to get out of my fort.
A grasshopper walked into a bar and the barman said, "We've got a drink named after you." And the grasshopper said, "What, Kevin?"
It's so bad. It's so embarrassing to laugh
It
at
is.
dad jokes.
The pity laughs.
It's a pity laugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funny
Yeah.
though. I hope people at home are laughing for real.
Did you hear the one about the drummer who had two daughters? He named them Anna 1, Anna 2.
It's the one day that you're allowed to get them all out of your system.
Exactly, Cole.
Exactly.
Do you have any more?
Why didn't the teddy bear eat dessert?
Why?
He was stuffed.
That's a good one. That is, yeah.
I was... my inconsiderate neighbour knocked on my front door at 3 a.m. this morning. Lucky I was still up playing my drums.
We're going to be stuck here forever.
Yes.
Any more?
Okay. No. None.
Oh.
No
Move
more?
on.
Exhausted.
I'm sure there is, but you know.
Well, I think we should just jump into it,
Indeed.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy Father's Day to the
Thank
both of
you.
you.
Thank you.
I hope you had great Father's Days.
Sensational as always.
I will admit that we are filming this in advance. Dad's driving up to Queensland to see
now.
his dad
Yes.
as we speak.
My goodness. You're in two places at once.
Oh yeah, big time. What do you normally do on Father's Day?
Look, we don't do anything that involves leaving the nest. But it's always usually breakfast, lunch or dinner out. We like to
Totally.
eat out. That's our splurge. We don't
Yeah,
go on family holidays or sort of play cricket in the backyard. We'll go out and have lunch or dinner. So
that's nice.
that's what we're going to be doing.
Do we have any traditions, Dad? You
well,
cook for
there's-
us.
Yeah, I don't have to cook. I don't have to do gardening on Father's Day. Yeah, it's usually just a bit of a relaxing day. What we have done a few times is just something that I like to do, like, you know, go for a run along the beach and then we all meet in a cafe.
Oh,
down at
true.
Manly.
Dad goes for a run along the beach, and then
On
we
Father's
meet
Day.
him at the
all of us-
cafe.
Sorry,
We
all of us
don't-
don't go for a run. along the beach.
We aren't
go
going
You
for
don't
running.
go for the run with him.
No, we just
I just go for a run, go for a swim, and then
Bit of peace and quiet and then
meet in the cafe.
reconvene.
yes, reconvene, debrief.
Who pays? And then Cole pays.
And Dad's like, all right. Yeah. Well, I love celebrating Father's Day. We have some things to discuss. We're talking to maybe fresh dads, young dads, people that will one day be dads, whoever it is listening, just about things they wish they knew, any advice, any fatherly advice. So to kick it off, just like tell us about your family. Tell us how many kids, how old are they? We know that I'm a child of
I better
one.
get this right.
Go on, Dad.
Okay, I am married to BWJ, beautiful wife Julianne,
Aw.
with two lovely daughters.
Who's your favourite?
Not that question. There's two daughters.
You've been set
The
up.
eldest is Lucy, and the youngest is Charlotte, and
Yes.
they've got a younger brother called Bailey.
The
who's
dog.
a cavoodle.
Yeah, I transformed into being the middle child when we got a dog because I was the
syndrome.
youngest. I was favoured. I was looked after, especially as the
Yeah.
youngest, and then we got a pet.
Anyway,
Happens to
moving
the
right
best of
along.
us.
But I was going to say I'm the youngest of two older daughters, two
Yeah.
older sisters as well, Fiona and Alison. And
Surrounded by the girls.
yeah, so I kind of was sort of used to growing up in a house of loud, very bright females.
Totally.
So yeah, maybe that is why I've got a quiet voice. 'Cause I just talk quietly.
Yeah.
Can't get a word in.
No, you got to be good at negotiating. That's a tip for young
Totally.
people that have daughters.
My goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, I like Cole. I'm the youngest of three.
Oh,
two
wow.
older sisters, so I knew what it was like to grow up in a family with a mother and two older sisters and dad always at work. And I'm pretty sure he was always at work to get away from the riffraff. But worked out the same for Michelle and I, my beautiful wife, and our kids. We indeed have two daughters and a son who are 24, 21 and 19.
Nice.
And yeah, it's great. It's
Good.
we do have a dog. Michaela has in fact inherited a dog, Piper. So the family is larger than just the five of us.
Yes.
Yes. So there's always a dog to mess up the
Absolutely.
balance and the rhythm and
Yeah.
cost an arm
Dog
and
that like I begged for, and Dad was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna have nothing to do with him," and then now it's Dad and Bailey
But Dad always
inseparable.
looks after the dog.
Yeah.
a Cole.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I take the dog for walks.
Oh,
which I
yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah, it's a nice solitude before the.
It sounds like I'm trying to. No, I'm not.
You're not. You just
No,
need it.
just sends back nice pictures of sunrises, all the good things.
It's good.
Um,
Send money.
Okay. First kind of question to discuss is how did your like expectations of being a dad, if you think back to before you had children, how did the expectations of being a dad compare to the reality of actually being a dad? Just an easy one to kick it off.
I mean, it's so long ago. No, but I think the main thing that sticks in my mind was, well, for a start, and you can do the math, Charlotte, even
Oh,
though I
God.
know you're not great at this. We were married in 1987, but Lucy wasn't born until 1999.
Wasn't it? Isn't it 12 years?
Yeah. So we were trying for probably 8 years
Right.
without success. So
Yeah.
so when lovely Lucy arrived on the scene, it was just like, yay.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to also, do a shout out there to, pre-dads that are trying, just, hang in there. And what I was very fortunate to have a great mate that prayed with me like every second week for
Wow.
2 years.
Mm.
And so, we so my initial reaction when we did have Lucy was just of excitement and, oh, wow, this is this thing we've been praying for so long.
Yeah.
But also, I guess practically your whole world changes. you know,
Yeah.
because you could go to cafes and get your hair cut whenever you wanted to and stuff like that. But then your whole concentration is on this little thing that you've got to keep alive now,
Terrifying.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful and awesome, and your whole life changes. But it's one of those lovely life-changing moments that you wouldn't change for anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything?
Well, what was the question again?
Expectations versus reality.
Oh, well,
Becoming dad.
we got married very young. We got married when we were 20,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd been dating on and off since we were 15. But then Michelle said, "Look, I'd like to be married young and have kids young," and I was just like, "Okay." Like I had never grown up ever thinking one day I'm going to be married and have kids.
Yeah, right.
That was just never. It was hard enough just getting out of bed, then thinking about that in the future. So
Totally.
when we realised, and she said, "Look, I want to be married young, have kids young," I thought, okay, well, let's get married young and have kids young. Didn't really know what we were signing up for, but it happened very quick for us. So by the time I was 24, we'd had our first, and then the next one at 27, the next one at 29.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, that it's a lot harder than people will people think it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people do more research about the car they're going to buy than what it is actually to become a parent or let alone a father. So
Yeah, wow.
there's a lot of dads out there that probably think, oh, I had no idea it was going to be like this. There's some things you can only find out as a result of experiencing fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that was certainly the case for me. The rewards are enormous, but it's not given to you. You have to work really hard. And that's been certainly my experience regarding parenting. You think, so have a child, you go to the hospital, the baby's born, you go home, and then it's sort of like welcome to the real world, and that goes on, and it's still going on 25 years later for us,
Yeah. What were some of those big challenges he had to face?
I think it's funny that most people do prenatal classes and you learn all about kind of before the baby's going to be born. They should do postnatal classes about like what actually happens when you sort of walk out of the hospital, put the baby in the baby seat and drive home. It's like, okay, where's that in the manual?
Yeah.
It's not.
I think for us, it's just I guess you start on this new adventure and it's a wonderful journey, and as Ryan said, you kind of learn as you go. I think that would be true for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Challenges, I don't know.
I'm not that challenging, am I?
Block them out of my head. Well,
it's a whole other podcast. We've only got 3 hours of tape.
It's like that freedom prayer thing. I think being a dad, I love being a dad. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house that was a really good, loving family, fun, all that stuff. And so, just normal life challenges now that you've got someone else to, that's with you, before having kids, everybody has challenges, whether it's relationship, financial, job stuff, all that kind of still exists, there. There's nothing really changes except now you're a parent. And then, and that is like your main focus in the mix, I guess.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when Cole said that it'd be nice if there was a post manual, when you bring them home, it's absolutely true. There is no this is how you do it manual. So obviously it varies from person to person because no one's going to really know if your child's going to have atopic eczema and not sleep for 3 years or, be constantly sick or in the doctor's surgery. For us, the biggest challenge was the fact that 2 out of 3 of them were not great sleepers.
Right.
And so I walked around like a zombie for 10 years. And that sort of is like a physical challenge, but then they become teenagers and it's sort of a monetary challenge.
Yeah.
And now that they're grown-ups and they're adults, it becomes more of an emotional challenge because you now working out their independence, but you're also staying connected, but not sort of cutting across their personal agency of figuring out who they are. So it starts out physical, then it goes to financial, and then certainly for us, it's now become this emotional challenge of how you renegotiate the changes in relationship.
Yeah. How do you?
Well, it's interesting. I've always, there was 4 things Michelle and I always prayed for the kids from a young age. We prayed that they would have favor with God and man, and that we prayed about that all the time. We prayed that they would be blessed in love and in marriage, and they get it right the first time. We prayed that they would know what they're meant to do from a young age. And the 4th thing that we would pray is that they would work hard at the right things. And we prayed those things. We were deeply committed to praying about those sorts of things. But the other thing that we tried to live by was to let the children play, not to be negligent or what's the word? Not invested or involved, like almost like to sort of abrogate our responsibilities. But we didn't want to control them, smother them, live vicariously through them. We wanted to try and identify their personality traits and their nature from a young age and sort of encourage that, helping it to flourish through relationship and through emotional connection, and not an emphasis on correction, but more an emphasis on relationship.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I mean, kind of just answered this question, but like, you both have great relationships with your kids. So how did you go about building up? Maybe Dad, you can answer, but both of you, like, how do you go about building such good relationships with them?
With you?
With me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess something that Ryan touched on is that whole, you don't want your kids to kind of be an extension of you. You're there to support and watch and nurture. And I guess part of being a dad or a parent is to create a safe, happy, fun place for them to thrive in.
Mm-hmm.
And we did some fun things because I mean
We did. You don't have to say that with such uncertainty.
It's like, we did some fun things.
No, like, we used to go on our little city adventures and catch every kind of public transport.
I was going to say one day Dad just made us get on every single type of public transport.
Including the walking footway at the Domain. If you've never been on that, you've got to go.
Walking footway, that counted.
And
ferry, bus. The
monorail
monorail
was
in
The monorail.
Sydney.
Can you still sing the monorail song?
I don't remember it. I probably was like 0.
So you basically took them on all various forms of transportation
And it was...
as a means of keeping their interest.
Exactly. It was like an adventure. But,
Yeah.
You see like hidden things in the city. But I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was just, I know Jules was also writing a lot of stuff as a part-time, or just like an extra hobby job kind of thing as well. And so taking the kids out of the house was all to give Jules a bit of space.
We went to like every playground on the northern beaches
we
one
used to
day
do
as well.
playground crawls. That's right.
But you slept well that night.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think Charlotte loved a good swing.
Oh my.
Can you?
Oh.
I've got a prop. I've got a...
Oh, you brought another prop.
Oh my gosh. What is that?
For the audio
Is it a
viewers,
hamburger?
Dad's got something in a black bag. What is it?
It's a Father's Day card that
Oh
Charlotte
my
gave
God.
me.
It's in the...
Aw.
Wow,
And it
guys,
says,
the dads keep them. What does it say?
I love you, Dad, because you take me to the big swing.
Was
Love
that last
from
year's
Charlotte.
card? Oh, 2023.
23.
I love a swing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think just, creating that fun
Yeah.
stuff,
Totally.
is just one little thing that I think is part of the mix. And so that your kids can, like you want your kids to be able to be happy to bring their friends back to your house because it's a nice atmosphere,
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love that. Anything to add, Ryan?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
How have you built like a strong relationship with your kids?
Well, we would check in a lot with the kids over the years, whether they were in infants, primary, high school, and even now out of school, where we ask lots of questions, go out and have one-on-one times together, or all together as a family, and I mean, it's good to have fun. It's great to have fun.
Yeah.
And it's essential. It's also good to be able to resolve issues.
Totally.
But it's also equally valuable to pay a genuine interest in your kids, not because you read it in some parenting book, but because you are, your interest in them is authentic and you want to know how they're going, what their thoughts are. Kids won't necessarily tell you exactly what they're thinking, feeling straight away. But if they, figure it out that you are indeed genuinely interested and they feel safe enough and comfortable enough to share, it's wonderful because you become one of their greatest companions. They want to spend time with you. It's not like you're an embarrassment. It's actually someone that they actually want to be around because it's life-giving for them. That's what we tried to do. Like, we had fun. We also resolved conflict, but we made sure that we had a genuine interest in their lives and in what they were thinking and feeling, what their ideas were about things, what their perspective and opinion was on things, and that was very helpful.
Yeah.
It was really good for us.
Yeah. To throw a question that I didn't prepare you guys for. Sorry.
That's okay. Unacceptable.
In terms of kind of balancing where your friend but also your parent, how do you go about that kind of balance?
Did you clean your room yesterday?
No.
Yeah, I think it's just different experiences that you do as you grow up. So you do the friend thing, and I know that I guess one of my weaknesses as a dad, which I'm fine about, is that I'm probably not the most disciplined Aryan father in the world.
Thank goodness.
But I think it's for me, it's actually showing who you are through how you live your life as well. And so so your kids actually see you being an authentic person in the way you live your life, in your business and with other friends, and all that kind of stuff. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never subscribed to the whole balance between I'm not your friend, I'm your parent thing.
Yeah.
And it's maybe it's just me. Like I believe there's a place for it, and I think in some families it really works, but I don't think it's black and white.
Yeah.
And the reason I believe that is because you got to know who you are as a parent. One of my favorite authors did a podcast recently and said, and it was to parents.
Nice.
And he's a wonderful author, and he said, hey, parents, your children's greatest problem is you.
Yikes.
And it's actually true.
Yeah, right.
I think there are parents out there that believe they're standing up in the name of discipline because it's the right thing to do and it's biblical and you do need to address things and et cetera, all that sort of stuff, and strong boundaries. And yeah, there are times where that's entirely plausible. But if you're going to do that, you better make sure that you're self-aware and that you've cleaned up your mess with Jesus.
Yeah, right.
And that it's coming out of genuine love, and that you are prepared to go on a long journey with your kids.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think it's possible for parents to get caught in the trap of not knowing where it's really coming from because they're low in self-awareness, and they're probably correcting their kids, and it's unconsciously making them feel better about themselves. So our kids will naturally gravitate to us as parents if we respect them and see them as people made in the image of God.
Yeah.
And we don't objectify them and sort of think, well, don't, like, if we say, do as I say, actually, they're more likely to push against that. But if they know that we love them and we validate them, and irrespective of any age, when our kids would interrupt or come out of their beds when we're having dinner parties or people over, even at 10:30 at night, they'd be in their, like onesie with the dummy in the mouth and their hair in a tuffet. They'd come in because they'd hear the parents talking. And there was never a case of, quick, go back to bed. It was always a case of, yeah, come on in. And they'd sit amongst us for 20, 30 minutes, even though we'd eventually take them back to bed. Even from a very young age, we would validate them no matter what. Yeah. Never shame them or, be the reason for them to feel invisible. In those types of situations where maybe you would think it's more plausible to be disciplinarian, we would choose to be more inclusive.
Yeah. I feel like I love thinking of, like, as a child, like thinking or like knowing that my parents are like human. Like my favorite memories are like I love when I like hear dad on a business call and I'm like, oh, go dad. Like just like stuff like that. That's like so exciting to be like, oh my gosh, like they're just like, that's my parent, but it's also like, they're just like me. Like,
Isn't
like
that
that's.
And I think that's a revelation lots of kids get when they grow up and become adults.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it
And,
comes
and
with
then
growing
they
up.
go and
Absolutely.
work in the workplace and go,
Oh.
there's some people here that actually make mistakes.
Yeah.
But they're adults.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's a
Who
relief.
would have thought?
Yeah,
Thank
that's right.
the Lord. So looking back, what's something that you wish you knew when you just calmed down, or like as your kids were growing up? Is there something that you kind of like wish you knew now that your kids are out of school? What's something?
I think we may have touched on it a little bit, but I think really knowing who you are and as yourself is really important, and looking after yourself. Because I've seen a lot of parents that don't have a very healthy self-image,
Yeah, right.
and that can really easily be put onto their kids. And so kind of no matter what you're going through, in life, I think it's worth trying to spend time to, make sure you're okay in yourself, so you're not dropping things that your emotional baggage or whatever it is onto your kids.
Totally. That's great. Yeah.
I think the overreaction one is a biggie. I learnt that progressively as Michelle and I grew with our kids, because we got married young and had kids young. We actually grew with our kids. things come up, triggers, behaviours, things about yourself that you just don't like, and you see yourself and you think, oh, I didn't realise I was like that, but I do realise like that, and somebody needs some counselling. But the big one for me is the greatest thing a parent can do, which I wish I'd known, but you learn this along the way, is that there's never a time to overreact.
Yeah.
Unless someone's life is in danger. Overreaction is never an option.
Yeah.
And kids make a mistake, a colossal mistake, whatever. It's just be like, oh, don't worry, we'll sort it out. It's to be a
I
non-anxious.
haven't very recently.
Is that right? Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Well,
To be
text.
sorry,
I
what?
want to show the text.
Oh, please do. Please do.
Dad, help! I've just had a crash.
All right. And then you're like, please be more specific. More? Elaborate.
Because I called him and he didn't answer. I was like, run! Run!
Wow.
I overreact for sure, but Dad doesn't, thank goodness.
And see, that's really wouldn't you agree that that's the role of a dad,
Absolutely.
that they
Yes.
can actually bring reassurance in times when kids think the sky is falling.
Yeah.
It's really just an
Doing
acorn
the
that landed
maths
on their head.
homework at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
in
or
the kitchen bench.
Or the ancient history
Oh.
assignment on Pharisees or whatever it
Oh,
is, or
come on.
Tutankhamun at 1 o'clock in the morning, right before the trial HSC. But, nobody's
Reading
perfect.
the chemistry symbol
Yeah.
cards too.
That's
Lose
right.
them, memorise all
For
that.
days.
Yeah.
I remember one time I came home and Dad had taken me to Bunnings to get all this stuff for like a design technology class. I went out, I came home and the entire house had been built. And I was like, well, sweet. Lucy and Dad were like hot gluing and I was like, stunning.
That is brilliant. Did you?
That's bad parenting.
Sorry, yeah,
pay
don't
you?
do that. I just got to play with it. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is good parenting.
But yes, sorry.
No,
not
no.
overreacting. Yes.
Yeah, I just think that's a
Totally. That's a really good point.
yeah.
Yeah. Bringing reassurance.
Certainly the overreaction
Yes.
was a steep learning curve.
Like when I sliced my finger open, screamed.
Yeah.
That was maybe the most reaction I've gotten out of you, Dad. You're like, we have to go to the hospital. And I was like, oh no, if Dad's saying that, we're screwed.
Well, I remember Dad saying to me, Ryan, you can't do that. And I said, why not? And he said, well, for one, it's illegal. And it was just very calm. And it was like, oh, I learned a lesson here. It wasn't like, because it's illegal. It was like, no, because it's against the law. You could go to prison. So it was
We
sort
don't
of,
want that.
No.
Thank goodness for your
Yes.
dad.
Yes, thank you, Dad, wherever you are.
Before I ask the last question, do you have any more like kind of tips, handy little nuggets for just say someone's just become a dad? Is there anything else? Anything else you want to say?
I don't think. Don't be scared to, I mean, I guess I've said the fun thing a lot, but sometimes it might be up to you to be the dad that is your kid's team's mascot or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be scared to kind of lean into stuff that might be out of your comfort zone, because I think that that's often what kids like. Great memories are made from stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we had lots of great holidays together and stuff like that. So, holidaying with like-minded families and things are always fun. So,
They're so fun.
Yeah, I think with young dads just about to become a dad, it's important to realise that, yes, indeed, your life is about to change, which Cole alluded to before, like he made mention of that before, and it's true. Your life is about to change. Suddenly your options go, you can't just move overseas. Oh, let's just go and live in Paris for a year. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're kind of chained to the desk for the next 20, 30 years, which is fine. It's a joy. It's not a grind. It's a playground. It's not a prison. But it's very important as a dad to remember not to erase themselves. And what I mean by that is that will you need to provide financially, emotionally, and also, yes, you will. And we also need to bring encouragement to the lives of your kids and actually continually reinforce a healthy self-image. You will, but not to the degree that you erase yourself and forget about yourself. It's important for a little bit of healthy neglect in parenting. And that is to say this, is that kids need to learn how to occupy themselves. And there are times when dad just needs to be on his own, or dad needs to do something for himself. And it's important for young dads to know that, because it's not a case of if, it's a case of when. There will come times when you can feel resentment rising, or you can feel a sense of obligation rising. And all that really is an indicator. Have you done something for yourself without feeling guilty, without feeling ashamed, without feeling like you're letting the family down? One of the best things you can do for your kids is to be in top condition emotionally. And that is by making sure you take those little bursts of time, or those periods of time where you're actually doing something for you. Because I've seen rookie dads make this mistake ad infinitum so many times. They've gone from being the master of their own universe to suddenly being a dad who feels like they're on tap, and the change is too much. So there's a balance there. Parenting needs checks and balances. It's very important for dads to make sure that they're doing things for themselves unapologetically, so that they continue to be great dads.
Yeah, beautiful. That's so great. Thanks, guys. The last question is, we've just at our church come out of a campaign all about like God the Father, and I was just curious in like how your relationship with God has been impacted by you guys being fathers. Like, what's that been like?
Yeah, like it's the biggest change in your life, really.
Yeah.
But I guess my relationship with my daughters has to spring out, I think, a lot of the well of, unconditional love that my Father in heaven has for me. A verse that comes to mind is I think it's 1 John 3:1, which is, how great is the love the Father has lavished on us, that we can be called children of God.
Yeah.
And I think the revelation that I'm a child as well, and that I have a very loving Father in heaven, that's a good place for me to be grounded in, to attempt to be a loving father here on earth.
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with what Cole said. I don't think it's possible to know how to parent either your own children, your biological children, or spiritually until you've first been a child of God.
Yeah.
You can have an idea, but it's not until you encounter the Father's love and you know exactly what the Heavenly Father's like that's different to the earthly fathers or coaches or mentors or leaders or whatever, that you actually realize that he can't love us any more than he already does.
Yeah.
That he doesn't change his mind about us, that he has no bad thoughts or feelings towards us whatsoever. When you get that revelation, suddenly you know what it means to be a child. You can put yourself in the shoes of your own child, and you can now, because it's been modeled to you by your Heavenly Father, know how to be a parent to your own children. But you first need to get that revelation of what it is to be a child of God. So that's wonderful. Yeah,
it's beautiful. So true. That was so great. The last thing that we do before we go is oh my gosh, Dad has so many things.
Gosh. Is that you, Colin? Is that a pet rock?
I want to know, and the people want to know, what are the best memories, the best stories. Dad needs to explain himself. I've had something sitting, if you've been watching this episode, something that I handcrafted for my dad.
Exhibit A, pen holder.
It's a pen holder.
Paddle pop sticks.
Wait, it's a pen holder. I think I made this in like year 1. And it's been sitting on Dad's desk.
I still use it. Try to place on my desk
20 years.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yes. But tell us, what are your favorite stories and favorite memories?
Gosh.
You go.
I think just making movies of the kids from the moment they were born, all three of them. They came home and I just started taking photos and making movies. It was like 77,000 photos.
Oh my gosh.
After the first 10 years of us being parents. And I've made maybe 40 family films with soundtracks.
Wow.
With fast mode, slow mode.
We need to see these.
Telling stories, capturing holidays up the coast, down the coast, overseas.
Yeah.
Birthday parties, Christmas, Easter morning, Easter egg hunts, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that the fondest memories for us would be that the family movies that we made, capturing the journey that our kids went on.
And then going back to watch them now.
We just did it the other night with popcorn, with Apple
amazing.
TV. We're all watching, and the kids are just laughing at the gaps in their teeth and their bowl haircuts, and the Tamagotchis and
Oh,
that
yes.
died because they didn't take care of them. And mushy monsters that
Oh my
died because
gosh,
they
yeah.
didn't log on and feed them.
And Club Penguin,
Yes,
everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think I accidentally almost spent Dad's entire life savings on Club Penguin one year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't
Someone
Subway
forgot to
Surfer.
Oh yeah, someone clicked on premium account or something.
Yeah,
Oops.
It's okay.
it's fine.
It's okay.
It's only 20 grand. 20 grand in tokens.
Yeah, but there were lots of performances in our house.
Totally.
Lots of dances.
And if you knew my dad, you'd know that I really got it from him. Deep down.
Deep down.
Deep down.
We still should do a musical together. Yeah, lots of a couple that spring to mind was when I think you were just a baby and Lucy was standing on our little sort of fire hearth and singing the national anthem in her PJs so seriously and singing right through, and she's kind of struggling a little bit with the second verse, and Jules' mum, who used to be an opera singer, started singing, and Lucy was so offended, just like, I'm the singer. Just like, right, now I'm going to have to start again. And then everyone's like, no.
Oh.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah. But
But
yeah,
yeah.
what's this rock that you're holding?
Oh, this is, it says My Dad Rocks. I must have been another Father's Day present.
Yeah.
I thought your rain fell out. That's great. It's,
Sturdy?
A paperweight.
it is.
So
It's,
thank you for all those teachers out there that
My
get your
Dad
kids to make
Rocks.
things for Father's Day.
Dad kept it all.
They stayed.
Did you keep it all?
I tried not to because most of my cards were to Dad Happy Christmas from so-and-so. And I would say, guys, the emotion and the depth of what you're communicating to me is compelling.
Totally.
But I think
Dear Dad, Happy
Allowing
Christmas
your-
from Troy.
part of the fun of being a dad and a parent, it's not just, dads, mums as well,
Mm.
is trying to find out what your kids love.
Yeah.
And so kind of inventing stuff, like I worked out pretty early that Lucy particularly had a bit of an engineering brain.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to make these things called ball runs in the
Like,
backyard. And which was
so
basically-
extensive. Like, they were
like
crazy.
Any bit of wood, pipe, anything that you would start at the top of the backyard, which is ours, a bit of a slope, and you had to get the ball to run all the way down to the backyard. And it was like, it'd take us like a day. And sometimes we attach it to half to the roof and everything like this. It was just like, sure.
And I'd be sitting there
Well, a
going,
bit
what are we doing?
You were not impressed?
Next.
I want to go and dance somewhere.
It's the artistic one who has no interest in probability or calculus. I remember being in a maths class once, and the teacher said, "What's sec?" And we're like, "Huh?" And he goes, "What's theta? Huh? What's the accounting for variable change?" And we're all just looking at the lesson. He goes, "Right, name the 7 dwarfs." And we're thinking, "Now that's
Just give
more
me
like
something."
it." Exactly.
One of my favorite memories is it was probably about like 9 p.m. doing maths homework. I'm having a breakdown, and I still remember what the question was. It was like, what is a shape that has like 5 points? And the answer was a star. And Lucy had been listening to us try and figure it out, and she got up out of bed and came and gave us the answer.
She came and gave me the answer.
We were like, oh my gosh.
And the artist and the engineer.
Yeah.
Where do you fit into all of that, Cole? You're the
Perfect.
manager.
Exactly. Yes, no, project manager. Yeah, no, I definitely like the arty, creative things.
Yeah.
You know,
You've raised a very creative family, I'd
Yeah.
say.
I mean, I grew up like that. My mum was exactly the same. I grew up in a very creative, messy house that I'd come home sometimes and my bedroom would be in another room. I just decided to reorganise the whole house. You know? Like, sure.
I've moved you down the corridor.
Down the
Oh,
hall.
but there was all sorts of arts and crafts and handicrafts always going
Yeah.
on the. You could never eat at our dining room table.
Because it's covered in decoupage.
Copper enamelling, Hobbytex.
We don't know what that is, Dad, be
I
real.
know, well,
Come on.
The people that are my age, you know what Hobbytex is.
What actually is Hobbytex?
It's
Wouldn't know.
like stuff you draw on a T-shirt.
Got it.
The 3D stuff. That's going to
Just
come
like
back in.
Permanent pen
Mark
stuff.
my words.
Do you reckon?
The 3D pen thing on
We used
shirts.
to do like copper enamelling on our dining room table. We had a Bunsen burner on our dining room table.
Just as long as you weren't scrapbooking, Cole. Otherwise, that'll devastate your reputation as a legend.
Scrapbooking. No,
Yeah. Do you want to come over on Friday?
Just
and do some
Highland
scrapbooking?
dancing.
no. No, it was, I mean, the world is a lot safer now than it was when we grew up.
Totally. No fireworks in the backyard.
Fireworks in the
We'll tell that story another time.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much. Firstly, for just being such great dads.
Thank you.
Thank you very
and
much.
also for your time to
try.
come on the podcast.
It's our pleasure.
We'll get you back soon. You guys just need to start your own podcast and just
Cole?
yap, just constantly, just non-stop talk.
Yes. sure.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yeah, we have episodes every second week, and you can find us at SYDLife.podcast, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks.
This podcast is produced by C3 SYD Church. We exist to know Jesus, find community, and discover purpose. For information, head to c3syd.church, and for more content, go to @SYDLife.podcast. Help us reach more people in Sydney by sharing this episode with a friend. See you next time.